and welcome to ED Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show that tells you all you need to know about startup, entrepreneurship and more. I'm Chandra Srikanth, joining you live from India's startup capital, Bangalore.
And I'm Krishna Kumar, coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. First up, a check on all that's making headlines here at ET Now Startup Central. India Inc. may be cheering the GST, but e-commerce firms have objected to certain provisions in the draft bill. Uber today enters into a partnership with Tata companies to offer its drivers access to Tata's portfolio of cars and avail finance and insurance too. We have Uber's Asia head Eric Alexander joining us on the show to discuss this and also open up on the Indian and Chinese markets as well. Moving on, in a country where cine stars live in the heart of every Indian, blurring the line between real and real life, Google's search is paying a tribute to Bollywood. We'll tell you more on the show. On Investopedia today, we have impact investor Lok Capital backed by the Rockefeller Foundation, which has raised $40.5 million as part of its third India fund. Lok Capital's managing partner Venki Natarajan joins us on the show as well to give us more details on this brand new corpus.
Krishna, let's take it to the top story then. Now, while India Inc. is excited about GST, the story is not really similar as far as e-commerce companies are concerned, as far as online marketplaces are concerned, because they believe that this will raise costs for sellers who are already operating at thin margins. Now, industry body IMAI is expected to really hold consultations on this and also approach the government next week on what the concerns are as far as e-commerce companies are concerned. We have Rahul Dama joining us on the show to really take us through the key concerns and also the road ahead as far as e-commerce companies are concerned. Rahul, while everyone seems to be cheering the GST, why are e-commerce companies opposed to this?
A few concerns that e-commerce companies have raised is with respect to when the tax will be deducted. Until now, e-commerce firms have really acted as intermediaries, providing various state governments information on the transactions that sellers have on their platform. But the draft bill proposes that the tax will be deducted at source. So e-commerce companies say this will really have an impact on the working capital issues of small sellers. Also, the fact that this move really will put the liability on e-commerce firms to really ensure that compliance is made. Also, the GST threshold, which was 1.5 crore before, will be brought down to between 5 and 10 lakh. That is also a cause of concern, and refund system also will impact sellers. Now e-commerce companies, as you mentioned, have approached IMAI to really knock on the doors of the government. We are understanding that apart from big players like Flipkart, Snapdeal and Amazon, a few others have also written into them, and starting next week is when the proposal will be submitted to the government. Remember, the e-commerce players were really waiting for the GST bill like India Inc. because they are facing a lot of taxation challenges in many states including Karnataka, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. So we will have to wait and see if their proposal is accepted and what they get out of it.
Thank you, Rahul, for putting that into perspective. So all eyes on to see once GST becomes a reality, how will e-commerce firms be, shaping up as far as that reality of GST is concerned. More importantly, this is based on the fact that, Chandra, GST will become a reality sooner than later. So fingers crossed for that as well. But moving on here in the show, Uber today entered into a partnership with Tata companies to offer its drivers access to Tata's portfolio of cars and avail finance and insurance as well. We do have Uber's Asia head Eric Alexander joining us on the show to discuss this and also open up on the Indian and Chinese markets as far as Uber is concerned. Mr. Alexander, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us over here. Tell us more about this partnership with Tata companies. Is this an extension of the investment that Tata Opportunity Fund made in Uber last year?
Yeah, I think as you said, we're super excited about the partnership. I think that when I first came to India and when Uber first opened in India, one of the aspirations that we had was to partner with a company like Tata. And so when the Tata Opportunities Fund decided to invest in Uber, we felt it was a fantastic opportunity and a big show of commitment for the first time the Tata Opportunities Fund had invested outside of India. But the investment, while outside of India, was for India. And we loved the idea because with the entire Tata ecosystem, through their insurance products, through the automotive products, through the consumer businesses that they have, all of those things are incredibly complementary to Uber's business here in India. And so today's announcement is really about the creation of economic opportunities for local people. And what Tata has done an amazing job of is providing flexible loans to where it was difficult for drivers to get those loans before. And so what we're really excited about is the fact that Tata really dug deeply and figured out how we can provide Tata vehicles with low down payments and incredibly competitive interest rates. And those things combined allow us as a business to scale and grow our business locally while supporting a local company like Tata by putting more and more vehicles on the road and creating lots of work opportunities.
Eric, you spoke about how this partnership will, provide more economic opportunities, create more driver entrepreneurs, so to speak, because, they get access to Tata's vehicles and finance. But tell me, how is this different from, what Ola is also doing in the market? Because there are talks of them tying up with auto companies as well, financial institutions as well. So, how is it different from your biggest rival in India?
No, it's a great question. I think that the difference between some of the other financing partnerships you've seen is that one of the difficulties is when a driver goes in to get a loan, they then have to go shop for a car, and then they have to go shop for insurance. And I think what we've created with Tata Opportunity is one-stop shopping for the driver partners. So it's simple, it's easy, and it's fast. And those three things, I think, differentiate some of the other kind of partnerships you've seen with financial institutions. And I think that those three things is what will make this partnership incredibly successful. And in a very short amount of time, as we've rolled out a simple pilot program here in Hyderabad and started, we've seen incredible adoption and very fast approvals, including all of those components that I just mentioned.
Eric, the trend globally has been that funding is drying up, be it Silicon Valley or Bengaluru. But we saw Uber and your Chinese competitor Didi Chuxing raise billions of dollars recently. Tell us, will this aggressive funding continue considering the competition in the space?
Yeah, I think it's again a good question. I think that the capital raise that we did was to continue to grow our business. And so while capital is incredibly important and fundraising is something that we do and we continue to do, what we try to focus on at the end of the day is using that very effectively and efficiently, and using technology to grow the business. At the end of the day, what we focus on is, the people and the products, because at the end of the day, if Uber continues to provide a great service, consumers will use it, our driver partners will continue, and the business will succeed on its own. And while capital is an important part to grow that business, what's more important is building a great product and a great service. And capital just allows us to do that.
Eric, any concrete details you can share on as far as the investment roadmap in India is concerned? I mean, you've raised billions of dollars from Saudi's sovereign fund. How much of that is really going to find its way in India?
Yeah, it's a fair question. We don't really take it and allocate it on an individual basis like that. What I would say is that India is an incredibly important market to Uber. It is the second fastest growing market around the globe for Uber, and we invest funds accordingly. And I think that we will continue to invest very heavily in our business in India because we feel that in the long run this is an incredibly important country to us, and the service is something that the local consumer has grown to love, and they use more and more of it, and so we should provide more and more of it. And so that would just say that we should continue to invest very heavily in this market and use our capital effectively in this market.
Finally, Eric, Uber has seen its fair bit of challenges here in the India market, right from search pricing to licensing issues. Now there is talk of the government bringing aggregators under the Motor Vehicles Act. So, how have you really coped with these challenges, and how difficult is India to operate in compared to your other markets?
Yeah, I think that regulatory issues are something when a company like Uber and the general business model comes into a country like India or anywhere around the world. Nobody anticipated this model years ago, and I think that regulatory issues are always a challenge, but they're a challenge that I think one of the things that's super nice about working in India is the governments listen, and they work really closely with us to develop the right regulatory plans to allow businesses like us to succeed. If today when we stood up and Secretary Rajan talked about companies like Uber coming, I think that a state, a city like Hyderabad has been incredibly receptive to our business, and I think that it's because we work very closely with the regulators and try to develop programs and policies that actually work. So while it's a challenge, it's a big opportunity. And I think that everyone has the same vested interest in mind, which is to make safe, reliable, and low-cost transportation available to the local Indian citizen. And I think that that is something interest that both Uber and the local governments have in mind, and therefore I'm super optimistic about those regulations coming out in the right place.
All right, Eric, we will leave it at that. Eric Alexander, Asia head for Uber. But Eric, I will tell you this on behalf of myself, Chandra, and every single Uber user in the country, search pricing has got to go absolutely come what may. Chandra, what say?
Absolutely, Krishna.
All right, on that note, let's move on to our next story. And Chandra, I have some fun facts to check with you, and the audience as well, before we introduce the story. Did you know that 1 out of every 10 users searching on Google searches about movies and Bollywood? That's fun fact number 1. Fun fact number 2.
I'm not surprised.
I know. Fun fact number 2 is that Modi plus Obama put together have been searched lesser than the number of times that Salman Khan has been searched for on Google over the last 10 years. That's fun fact number 2. Trumping that is the fact that Karan Johar was a more searched personality on Google than Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg put together over the last 10 years. So those are the fun facts, and to be honest, I didn't come up with those fun facts. In fact, those are the numbers put out by Google at their event today. Chandra.
Krishna, the third one you mentioned really gave me a heartache. I mean, the fact that Karan Johar is more searched than, Spielberg and Scorsese, I still find it difficult to believe that one. But who's to question Google, considering they are a virtual monopoly as far as search is concerned?
Chandra, that goes to show the power of Bollywood and the kind of reach it has, considering it caters to a larger population at its hometown itself, which is India. It's not surprising that every single year we've got these zeitgeist of Google coming out. It's always a Bollywood star topping the charts. It was Sunny Leone one year, it was Katrina Kaif another year. So these numbers do fall in line with the larger trend that we've been witnessing. But guess what? All of these numbers has enthused Google to sort of enrich the movie searching experience as far as Google is concerned. So that's what Google unveiled today, a much more immersive experience of searching anything to do with movies, movie stars, movie movie songs, that Google is sort of upping the ante, which basically means that you can say a dialogue, an iconic dialogue from an iconic Bollywood film, and on your voice assistant on your Android phone using Google, and just say, okay Google, and for example say, kitne aadmi the, and immediately Google search will throw up the YouTube clip of that particular dialogue by Gabbar Singh in the iconic film Sholay. That's what I'm talking about. And I got into conversation with Sapna Chadha, the country marketing head for Google in India, and she explained about what Google is doing as far as the search experience for movies is concerned. Take a look.
So it's Google and Indian cinema across the board. It's interesting to note that today when we look at our online user behavior, people are really passionate about Indian cinema. That's what we see in terms of mobile searches. In fact, 1 in 10 mobile searches in India are related to Indian cinema. That's a huge number. And so what we've done is we've built this really rich experience. It's inciting, inviting. It really brings the visuals and the imagery and the color and the history and trivia of Bollywood all to the forefront on Google itself.
Sapna, simple question again. How? It already, for example, if I want to Google a film, I Google a film.
Yeah.
If I want to Google a song, I Google a song. What more is going to happen this time around?
Well, the experience keeps getting better, and it has gotten better. If you think about searching years ago, what did you get? You got 10 blue links related to what you search for.
Yeah.
Today, you look for something related to Indian cinema, and you're going to get an immersive experience across the board. So you'll see a carousel of films with visuals, pictures, linkage of that film to songs. Those songs you can actually link to Ghana and Savan and Hangama directly, all through this beautiful immersive experience. We don't want to just answer that one question you have. That's not interesting. We want to bring all of it together and answer hundreds of questions through an experience and this immersion and discovery that we give you.
And I'm also hearing that you've got this cool thing going where, if you just put out a dialogue from a famous Bollywood movie, an iconic dialogue from an iconic Bollywood movie, then that particular video clip from YouTube pops up when you do that search. How does that work?
Well, I mean, ultimately that's what we're doing, is bringing all of the content that's available online and surfacing it to users. And so our engineers have really built the best product possible. Ask a difficult question, put in a dialogue, put in anything, and the answers that we're giving today are better than ever. But again, it comes back to that immersive experience.
What is Google's plan as far as engaging with India's startup ecosystem goes going forward? If you are tying up with the likes of Ghana and Savan and etc., to bring this particular Bollywood experience on Google, then I'm sure Google is very curious about more solution providers in the startup space being able to collaborate with Google.
Yeah, no, so definitely. We were a startup ourselves, right? So we believe in the power of startups. We're working closely with startups to help them. We have an integration even with Book My Show on movie tickets. So if you want to book a movie, we can get showtimes directly from search and ultimately get that done. So we're working across a number of partners and players. Ultimately, in terms of the startup ecosystem, it's a place we're investing in. It's a place that we are looking at mentoring startups, helping startups, even beyond what we're doing today with search.
All right, so that was the conversation I had with Sapna Chadha of Google. But moving on here on the show, in the heart of every Indian, blurring the line between real and real cinema is what Google is doing, and that's why it's paying a tribute as far as Bollywood and Indian cinema as a whole is concerned. But moving on to Investopedia, where we have impact investor Lok Capital, backed by the Rockefeller Foundation, which has raised $40.5 million as part of its third India-focused fund. Lok Capital's managing partner, Venki Natarajan, joins us on the show to give us more details about this new corpus. Mr. Natarajan, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us over here. Tell us about the new fund you've raised, the quantum, and the investors involved in it.
We just had a first close of our third fund for roughly 300 crores. And this fund is focusing to invest in financial services, healthcare and agri-businesses in India. And the first close comprised of some of our existing investors and one new investor, which is the largest teachers pension fund out of USA.
Also, how tough was it to raising funds in the current environment, keeping in mind, considering we have entered a ever more cautious environment?
So the fundraising environment has been challenging because of the overall performance of the funds in India over the last 10 years. And for us also, this has been somewhat of a difficult process over the last 15 months. But the fact is, 3 out of our 5 large LPs of LOC has been coming back and investing in the third fund. Is also demonstrates the track record we have created over the first 2 funds.
And finally, tell us where will the funds be deployed into? Will healthcare, education and spaces like that see more uptake?
So in the third fund, our focus is going to be more on investing in growth stage businesses, participating in Series B and Series C round, and not as much on early stage investments. So there will be a small pocket out of this fund that we will allocate to invest in startups, but largely it will be focused on growth stage businesses. And clearly what they can expect in addition to our capital is, as we have been doing over the last 10 years, providing a lot of support around hiring, both at the board level as well as at the management level, and second on the technology side, and thirdly on the overall, some of the stalwarts in the financial services space have been either part of our advisory board or part of our team. So both Dr. Lal and Dr. Peck, and their involvement and our experience adds a lot of value to the companies that we invest in.
Finally, Venki, you've said the focus will be Series B, Series C. It's quite contrary to what we've been seeing in recent months, where a lot of funding is going into the seed stage, Series A stage. Any reason why you want to continue to focus on the later stages instead of the initial stages?
See, our focus is more on brick and mortar businesses in all these 3 sectors that I mentioned. In brick and mortar businesses, we feel that the early stage risk is, while quite high, the returns are not commensurate with that risk. So we feel businesses where the unit economics are clearly proven, the risk levels are much lower, and we can generate near private equity returns by investing in these companies. That is the reason.
Venki, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us on 18 Hours Startup Central. We'll certainly be tracking the investments that you make out of this fresh tranche, as well as the balance that you raise during the course of the year. But with that, Krishna, we come to the end of the special episode. Today, we packed in funding, Bollywood, startups, unicorns, pretty much everything.
Oh, just about everything, and every single time again here at ET Now Startup Central. And with that, we wrap up this particular edition, but you don't go anywhere. Keep watching ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.